So it's late July right now, and it's been quite dry for the last number of weeks, and I think it's a really important time to point out just how important water is for everything. In particular for us, the pasture land, but it has so many other benefits as well. And in the background here, you can see this tree line. Behind that tree line is a seasonal creek that runs through the corridor roughly east to west. And all along that water course, over the last number of years, the local beaver population has built a series of dams. Now, this has been a little bit of a pain because it has flooded some pasture land, making it unusable. However, the benefit from having that water locked up more than accounts for that in added productivity and health of the landscape. So you can see here the stark difference in color between the low-lying grassland where the water has percolated in, and even up onto the hillside that I'm standing on. The difference between that and the hillside to the west on the right side of the screen there. The difference is incredibly stark. You can also see in the background there's a pond that was dug in the last year, and it's come up with some local vegetation. We haven't seeded that yet, but that's just the local vegetation that's grown in, and that pond is by no means full, and yet you can also see how much of a difference that makes there, how much greener that area is, and the surrounding hillsides, up onto the surrounding hillsides, than the hilltops themselves. So it's really cool to see. Another thing to point out is that you might have noticed that the vegetation around me here, I'm standing on a hillside, and yet it's still quite lush up here. One of the features there is there's a little bit of a gully that runs north-south, and that captures some water and carries it to the surrounding hillside. But the key feature here is actually the tree line on the north. And this strip of trees and other vegetation helps to lock in water. So in the wintertime, the snow settles there and melts over this springtime, and then when we get precipitation, that land and those root systems lock in the water and then act as a bit of a slow release mechanism, slowly putting water into the surrounding hillside here. So even on the far side there, you notice that hill is a little bit taller than the one I'm standing on, and yet it's still relatively green, even compared to like much lower hills where there's no other vegetation around it. So I really think that's cool, and you can see how important that whole ecology is in having all of those pieces fit together. I do also want to note on the topic of beavers as well. I know a lot of people have a lot of hate for beavers in how damaging they can be, and yet they are an incredibly important species. They're a keystone species that can do a lot of incredible things, and if we can view the relationship with beavers as a partnership and find ways to mitigate any kind of damaging effects they might have, that's vastly superior than simply viewing them as pests to be eliminated. We are in their territory as much as they're in ours, and yeah, you can see the benefit of that if we learn to live with them, and I think that's something that we really need to take to heart. And yeah, and these guys are happier for it, with much healthier soil and healthier grass.